All right, let's get right into it. When you think of Switzerland, you probably think of a country that's got it all figured out. I mean, it's one of the richest, most stable places on Earth. Sounds pretty perfect, right? Well, it turns out all that success has created a really weird economic problem. We're talking about a central bank that's now sitting on a trillion-dollar pile of foreign money and stocks that it literally can't get rid of. And that brings us to the big question, the mystery at the heart of this whole thing. Why on earth would one of the richest countries in the world be trying to make its own money weaker? It sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But stick with me because the answer reveals this fascinating trap at the core of our modern global economy. So, to get to the bottom of this, you first have to understand where the problem comes from. And it all starts with the incredible strength of their currency, the Swiss franc. See, it's what investors call a safe haven. And in the world we live in today, that's both a huge blessing and a massive curse.
Now, a key idea here is something called a reserve currency. It's actually a pretty simple concept. It's just a foreign currency that other countries' central banks like to keep on hand. Why? Because they trust it. They know it's going to be safe and stable over time. You can think of it as the financial world's ultimate emergency savings account. The undisputed king of these currencies is, no surprise, the US dollar. It makes up more than half of all global reserves. But the Swiss franc plays a totally different game. Its economy isn't huge, so it's not trying to be dominant. Instead, it's become the world's premier alternative safe spot. Its value isn't about size, it's all about Switzerland's legendary stability.
So what's the big deal with the franc? Why does everyone want it? Well, it really comes down to three things. For starters, Switzerland has basically been a rock of stability since 1848. Then, you've got the currency's incredible track record. It's only been seriously devalued one time, and that was way back in 1936. And the big one, whenever the global economy gets shaky or uncertain, investors do what anyone would. They run for safety. And for them, safety looks a lot like the Swiss franc.
Okay, so this is where the story takes a twist. All of that demand makes the Swiss franc incredibly strong. But what sounds like a great thing is actually a massive headache for the Swiss central bank. Let's dig into how that strength actually becomes a dangerous weakness.
The Swiss National Bank is basically haunted by two big fears. The first one is deflation. See, a strong franc makes everything you import cheaper. Sounds great for a minute, right? But if prices keep falling, people stop spending money today, hoping things will be even cheaper tomorrow. Businesses stop investing, the whole economy can just grind to a halt. The second fear is that it crushes their exporters. A super strong franc makes iconic Swiss goods, like watches, machinery, medicine, way too expensive for anyone else to buy, and that's a huge slice of their economy.
And make no mistake, this is not just some theory they're worried about. It's happening. While most of the world has been battling crazy high inflation, Switzerland has the exact opposite problem. Their inflation has been stuck below 1%, sometimes even going negative. Deflation is a real and present danger for them.
So what do you do when your money is just too good? When you're facing these twin threats of deflation and cratering exports? Well, this is where things get really wild. The Swiss National Bank cooked up this massive, totally unconventional plan to devalue the franc on purpose.
The plan basically boils down to a crazy three-step process. First up, the Swiss National Bank, or the SNB, just prints mountains of Swiss francs, creates them out of thin air. Then they take all that new money and dump it on the open market, flooding the supply to drive down the price. And third, with the foreign cash they get from that sale, they go on an absolutely epic international shopping spree for currencies, bonds, and even stocks.
And I really mean epic. They've done this on a mind-boggling scale. The SNB is now holding a portfolio of foreign stuff worth about $1 trillion. Let me put that in perspective for you. That's more than the entire annual economic output of Switzerland itself. And the stuff they've been buying, it's wild. This isn't just boring government bonds. The Swiss Central Bank has quietly become one of the biggest stock market players in the world. Get this. They own over $12 billion worth of NVIDIA stock alone, plus massive chunks of Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, you name it.
But here's the final twist in the story. So, problem solved, right? The franc is weaker? Well, not exactly. Because in solving that one huge problem,
The SNB has accidentally created a whole new set of very public and very tricky ones. Their trillion-dollar solution has backfired in some pretty serious ways. So now they have these new headaches to deal with. First, the United States officially labeled Switzerland a currency manipulator, which, as you can imagine, led to some nasty political fallout and even tariffs. But the biggest problem by far is what's being called the trillion-dollar trap. Think about it. If the SNB ever tries to sell their stocks, they get paid in dollars. To bring that money home, they have to exchange it back into francs, which increases demand for the franc, which makes it skyrocket in value. The very problem they were trying to fix. They're stuck.
And you can see just how trapped they are. You'd think the recent global inflation crisis was their golden ticket, right? A perfect chance to sell off some of those assets while nobody's looking. But they only managed to unload about 20% of their holdings before Swiss inflation fell right back towards zero and they had to slam on the brakes.
Which really brings us back to this quote that just sums up the whole bizarre situation perfectly. At the end of the day, Switzerland's problem is that it's just too successful. Its reputation for stability is so powerful that global money can't help but flood in, forcing its central bank to perform these incredible financial gymnastics just to keep the economy from seizing up.
And that leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question. The story of Switzerland is just a perfect paradox of modern economics, a sign of how interconnected and frankly how weird our financial world has become. So what do you think? Is it possible for a country to actually be a victim of its own success?